because the people of Eddington like guns.
Your pain is not a coincidence. You are not a coincidence.
Eddington is shaping up to be one of the most provocative and talked about films in recent memory. Directed by Ari Aster, whose name has become synonymous with psychologically intense and thematically dense cinema, the film transports viewers into the heart of a deeply fractured America during one of the most turbulent periods in modern history. Set in May 2020, at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic's first wave, the movie is a fictional yet disturbingly familiar account of a small town caught in the grip of fear, misinformation, and ideological conflict. In classic Aster fashion, this is not just a surface-level exploration of the pandemic's impact. Instead, Eddington dives deep into the societal rifts that were already present and only intensified by the global crisis, using the backdrop of the virus as a catalyst for broader philosophical and existential questions. The central narrative unfolds in the fictional town of Eddington, New Mexico. The conflict at the core of the story pits Sheriff Joe Cross, portrayed by Joaquin Phoenix, against Mayor Ted Garcia, played by Pedro Pascal. Sheriff Cross is a rugged, stubborn, and old-school figure who refuses to acknowledge the seriousness of the virus. His ideology reflects a resistance to change, a rejection of authority outside of his own, and a deep distrust of federal mandates. On the opposite side is Mayor Garcia, a more progressive and pragmatic leader who advocates for safety protocols like mask mandates and technological interventions to combat the spread of COVID-19. Their conflicting philosophies serve as a microcosm for the national divide, where public health became entangled with political identity and science was often met with suspicion and hostility. This clash between Cross and Garcia sets off a chain of events that ripple through the town and affect the lives of its residents in profound ways. The characters surrounding them add further dimension to the narrative. Emma Stone plays Louise Cross, the sheriff's wife, who finds herself emotionally torn between loyalty to her husband and a growing sense of moral and intellectual dissonance. Her presence in the film introduces a compelling emotional subplot, one that raises questions about complicity, silence, and the struggle for autonomy within intimate relationships during times of ideological warfare. The cast also includes Luke Grimes, Clifton Collins Jr., Deirdre O'Connell, Austin Butler, and Michael Ward, each portraying individuals who, in their own way, represent different facets of the American experience during the pandemic. Some are radicalized, some feel abandoned, others seek control and chaos, and a few just want to survive. The world building in Eddington is immersive and eerily reflective of real-life tensions. The town becomes a pressure cooker, slowly filling, with suspicion, misinformation, and paranoia. As mask mandates are introduced, the community fractures. Families become divided. Friendships dissolve. Conspiracy theories gain traction. The sheriff's refusal to enforce health regulations begins to have tangible consequences. Local businesses close, people fall ill, some die. And all the while, the question hangs in the air. How did we get here? What allowed a health crisis to spiral into a political war zone? These are the kinds of questions Aster isn't afraid to ask, and Eddington confronts them head-on. Ari Aster's directorial approach remains as bold and stylized as ever. Though this film departs from the supernatural horror elements of Hereditary and Midsommar, it is no less terrifying. The horror in Eddington comes not from ghosts or cults, but from the very real specter of societal collapse. Aster's camera lingers on the mundane with as much intensity as it does on moments of chaos, suggesting that the ordinary is often where true fear lives. The cinematography, handled by the acclaimed Darius Khondji, complements Aster's vision with stark, desolate imagery of the New Mexico landscape. The film feels sunburned, raw, and dry, a visual metaphor for the emotional and moral desert the characters are trapped in. Every frame is carefully composed, using natural light and deep shadows to emphasize the contrasts between light and dark, both literally and figuratively. Adding to the film's power is its haunting score, co-composed by Bobby Kurlick and Daniel Pemberton. The music is subtle but emotionally potent, using ambient textures and dissonant melodies to create a sense of unease that permeates the film from beginning to end. It's not loud or overbearing, but it's ever present, creeping beneath the surface like an unresolved national trauma. The sound design plays an equally crucial role, capturing the sounds of isolation, from distant sirens to muffled arguments through walls to the silence of empty streets. These elements work together to ground the film in a reality that's painfully recognizable. Eddington made its debut at the 2025 Cannes Film Festival, where it sparked immediate controversy and debate. The response was predictably polarizing. Some critics hailed it as a masterpiece of political commentary, praising its willingness to engage with difficult subject matter and its refusal to offer easy answers. Others found it overwrought, claiming that its message was muddled or excessively cynical. Still, few could deny the film's ambition or the sheer emotional power of its performances. Joaquin Phoenix, in particular, delivers another deeply committed turn as a man undone by pride and fear, while Pedro Pascal offers a more restrained but equally compelling counterpoint as a leader trying to hold a fraying community together, with empathy and logic. Interestingly, during the Cannes press conference, the cast and filmmakers avoided engaging directly with the film's political themes. When asked about the real-world inspirations behind their characters and the events of the film, most responded with vague or philosophical answers. This avoidance created some tension with journalists eager for a more candid discussion, and it added an extra layer of intrigue to the film's already loaded content. Some interpreted this silence as a form of artistic neutrality, while others saw it as a missed opportunity to engage in meaningful public discourse about the issues the film so provocatively raises. Despite the controversy, or perhaps because of it, Eddington is poised to become a cultural touchstone. Its release, scheduled for July 18, 2025 by A24, is expected to generate considerable interest across both art house and mainstream audiences. The film's themes resonate beyond the specifics of the pandemic, tapping into deeper anxieties about truth, authority, and community in an age of information overload and ideological extremism. It forces viewers to ask hard questions. What happens when leaders act in bad faith? When neighbors turn against each other over masks and mandates? When empathy gives way to tribalism? Eddington doesn't pretend to have the answers, but it does make the audience feel the weight of the questions. The setting of New Mexico is more than just a backdrop. It's a character in its own right. The vast open spaces contrast with the claustrophobic tension among the townspeople. The isolation is both physical and psychological, amplifying the feeling of being cut off, not just from other parts of the world, but from reason, from community, and from oneself. The environment plays a key role in how the narrative unfolds, reinforcing the emotional states of the characters and the broader themes of division and desolation. What sets Eddington apart from other pandemic-related films is its refusal to sanitize or simplify the reality of the crisis. It doesn't shy away from the ugliness, the confusion, the absurdity, or the tragedy. Instead, it immerses the viewer in a world where every decision feels like a referendum on one's values, where every mask or lack thereof is seen as a symbol of loyalty to one ideology or another. The film captures that strange, disorienting time when the line between truth and fiction felt increasingly blurred, and trust in institutions, in science, in each other was eroding by the day. In the end, Eddington is less about COVID-19 and more about the human condition under pressure. It explores how fear can mutate into hate, how leadership can be both a balm and a weapon, and how people either rise to the occasion or fall apart when tested. It's about the fragility of social contracts and the consequences of their breakdown. With its release still ahead, it remains to be seen how general audiences will respond. But one thing is certain, Ari Aster has once again delivered a film that dares to hold a mirror up to society, no matter how uncomfortable the reflection. Maybe.